David Bennett.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. This piece of legislation brought by the New Zealand First Party is really just an attack on the TPPA agreement. This is an attempt by the New Zealand First Party to try and frustrate an agreement that is in the best interests of New Zealanders. It's something that shows the real true intent of that party, which is a party that's against an open and free New Zealand. It's a party that doesn't want free trade. It's a party that wants to take us back to the 1950s. It's a party that doesn't want immigration. It's a party that doesn't want change in New Zealand community and society. It's a party that believes that a select group of few people can design and tell everybody else what to do. It's a party that is stuck in the past. They are the dinosaurs of the past, and they have brought legislation here trying to stop New Zealand progressing, being in the open, free world that we can be part of and that has made our country so strong in the past. This is an attack on New Zealand's future by the people that represent New Zealand's past. That was ages and ages ago, when we should be looking forward as a country, not back as those dinosaurs next door are. And the Labor Party is pretty rich coming into this parliament here today, because the Labor Party, in their greatest day in free trade agreement, every time you talk about the Labor Party and free trade, they mention one person and one agreement. They say Phil Goff got the Chinese free trade agreement. That's what they said. We only had that an hour ago in this House. The Chinese free trade agreement allows these kind of clauses. It does allow these kind of clauses. And to have the Labor Party now come into this House and say, we think that this should still go through to the next stage for discussion, really is just them trying to bet on both sides of the coin, because they don't actually believe in it. They know that New Zealand needs to be a free and open trading country, and they know that an integral part of free and open trade is to have these kind of clauses in the agreements going forward. And the Labor Party is very rich for them to come in here and try and open up the debate and say, oh, we believe that there should be a debate on this issue, when in reality the biggest agreement they signed had one of these clauses in it. And it was an agreement that they are very proud of. And they cannot come into this parliament and then be against these type of clauses and then have them in the very one agreement that they wanted. Okay, so we've got New Zealand First piping up again. New Zealand First, the party that does not want free trade in New Zealand. This is what this debate is about. Do you want New Zealand to be a free trading country? Do you want the Chinese free trade agreement? Do you want the Korean free trade agreement? Do you want to have a free trade agreement with the Pacific Rim?
A point of order, Ron Mark.
I noticed, Mr Speaker, you were a little distracted, but the Speaker continually tries to bring yourself, sir, and your chair into the debate.
I was attempting to call him to order, and I think if he occasionally addressed the chair, he might notice that that was happening. David Bennett.
There is no involvement of the chair in this. This is about the New Zealand First Party that's against free trade, that's against the free trade agreements.
Can I remind the member that when a ruling has been made on a point of order, it is not to be referred to by members. The member's been here for a while and he does know that. David Bennett.
Oh, never listens. This is the New Zealand First Party that does not want New Zealanders to trade. The trade that we've heard from Mr Mark Mitchell about what the Korean Free Trade Agreement would mean for New Zealanders. But no, New Zealand First doesn't want that. New Zealand First does not want us to be in that trading bloc that will be the future of this part of the world. And that shows the small-mindedness, the arrogance, the old-fashioned approach that is the New Zealand First Party. And it is a shame that we have to even debate these bills in this House. It is an attack on the values of New Zealanders and this House that these bills should even be debated here, because they represent an attack on the fundamental values that New Zealanders want, and they want a progressive, open, free country. A country that does not say no to people because of race. A country that is open to people to come here and make their future. A country that wants to have free trade and wants to engage in the new world. And that's the difference between this side of the House and the opposite side of the House. And Mr Ron Mark sitting there, and Mr Ron Mark was talking about they wanted transparency around the negotiation of the free trade agreement. They want to see the agreement. We didn't see the transparency around the New Zealand First Deputy Leadership contest, did we? When was that transparent? That wasn't around. They didn't delete. When were the votes that were cast in that vote last week shown to the public? No. New Zealand First, when it wants to, will not be transparent.
Order. The debate has been quite wide, but I think the member has got now well beyond it, and I'm going to invite him in the last half minute of his speech to address the bill. David Bennett.
Desperation comes from New Zealand First when their leader won't even come and be supporting their flagship policy. This is bad for New Zealanders to even debate this, and it's a shame on Fletcher Tapito to come into this House with legislation like this. New Zealand does not want the attitude that New Zealand First brings to this House, and the new Labour Party should stand up and say the right things. They've had the chance over the last week, and they haven't done that either.